It is time to gather up Gotchard. And I've been going on about how this show is about empathy and kind of like going like, is that, like, is this what the show is going on about? Is that what the show is ultimately going to be about? And this episode just full on goes like, yes, Boingo, you are correct. You are the very smart, analytical person for figuring all this stuff out. Because we open up on the episode where we last left off. Gotchard is trying to beat the Amalgam, the tree guy, and he does with a brand new power-up. He fuses with his bike. The bike is reoccurring. I'm so glad about that. He's able to do all that kind of stuff, beat the guy, right? As his friend Gotchard comes up and goes like, oh, the fucking girl. She asked someone, and I'm sad. And it turns out that all this stuff is, again, it's the other prisoner released by one of the sisters in the previous episode. As the teacher finds out, it's like, okay, so not that's her brother. That guy's misunderstanding, but the guy's also a serial arsonist and very dangerous. This is a very touchy situation, right? As the sister and the brother are catching up, right? And Gotchard overhears the news report, and he's like, "Oh, that was her brother. I totally misunderstood. Wait a second, he's an arsonist?" And he starts running and going, and it's a hilarious scene. It feels very straight out of like a sitcom. Like that guy could have easily been in like Seinfeld, or like just that visual. It's beautiful. It's great. Meanwhile, as the brother and sister are having a conversation, the brother goes like, "Yeah, no, yeah, I'm here. What's up?" And sister goes like, "Hey, I never believed him for a second. I thought you were innocent. You never did anything wrong." And the brother goes like, "No, I committed arson. I did. The fuck?" And basically stomps on her feelings, stomps on that emotion of just like, no, I committed arson. I don't feel it, like, partially because of my resentment towards you. And she breaks, and that's really sad as Gotchard comes in, tries to fight, as the rest of the crew go like, fuck, everything's on fire. We have no idea what's going on. Right? And Gotchard's on the back foot, right? Gotchard then does the classic, like, come on, you're a Kamen Rider, fight! And Hotaro's like, I am a Kamen Rider, fuck! And gets a second wind as the rest of the crew, and brilliant, this, like, we're not sitting here waiting for the action to stop. They are sitting there going like, okay, what can we do to help? They figure out a combo for Hotaro to use. They hand it over. He puts it in. He turns into a firefighter, and it's like, all right, cool, I can put out this fire, and he does. Though, real quick, that is most likely a chemical fire that they're doing, and I do not think water puts out chemical fires. We will let it slide, but I just wanted to point that out. So they're wrapping everything up. They get the chemi out of the guy, and they're like, all right, cool. All's well that ends well. And then you look at the timeline and you realize, oh shit, there's still an entire half of an episode left. As the resentment the sister, the girl's been feeling this whole time, bubbles up, takes the chemi as she becomes Amalgam herself, and starts raining destruction everywhere. And everyone's going like, oh shit, oh fuck. As they realize she's about to kill her brother, who is like, you go like, yeah, understandable. He is a serial arsonist and a shadow all over her feelings. But still, you don't want that to happen, because that would just lay on her and she'll feel bad about it, and it doesn't solve anything. And it's just like, oh my god, all this situation. As they're trying to figure out what can happen, Gotchard transforms into the big, powerful form from the beginning, and it starts redirecting the electricity, because that's what the Amalgam uses, down into the ground as a lightning rod. And it's taking its toll. It's taking its time. And they're all just going like, why don't you just kick her ass already? And he goes like, that won't solve the problem. And he just goes like, Kajiki, you need to reach her because you are the one who connected with her with the cryptid magazine. And Kajuki's like, yeah, okay, I'll do it, because he's emboldened by the courage of the Kamen Rider, and also realizing that, oh, that's Hotaro. Oh, Hotaro believes in me. Hotaro needs me to do this. Okay, let's do this. He pushes through the electricity. He does his best, and he reaches out to her, and so it's like, hey, this isn't you. Like, yeah, your brother's a dickhead. Yeah, he lied to you. Yeah, yeah, everything you thought isn't what it is, but you still saw those cryptids. You still love haunted mansions. You still work at one. You are, everything isn't a lie. You are who you are. Like, all these different things. It's just like, this isn't who you are. You are lashing out in anger, and I don't think you want that. And she calms down, and Gotchard is able to land the finishing blow, get the Kimmy free and into a card. As we kind of wrap up, we have a couple few scenes of the brothers, of course, going back into police custody, and the sister comes running of just like like that final, like, please tell me you were lying. She doesn't say anything, but the brother looks back and goes like, hey, I saw those things too. Basically kind of like I was a little bit of shit, but I'm also like, I want to establish that, like, what I am is wrong, but the core foundation of that moment for you was real. And like, that's like, the brother realizes, like, damn, I really hurt my sister. And the sister kind of goes like, he's a narcissist. He has all these problems, but he still took the moment to apologize, essentially, of like, hey, sorry, I shat all over our childhood. Blech. As we have a moment of Hotaro basically going like, we gotta erase their memories, don't we? And the teacher going like, yeah, but I'll level with you. We'll give them 30 minutes to say their goodbyes. We'll do that. And we see them do that. Very sweet. As a UFO, which I think is being hinted at as a Kemi, shows up, and they both marvel at it and go like, wow, it's real. The thing we wanted to see is real. They see it. As 30 minutes are up, their memories are wiped. They are in a catatonic state as they walk away. And the next morning, Kajuki's going like, I feel like I'm forgetting something. And Hotaro's just like, fuck, I hate this. I hate that we had to erase this emotional connection that they had. I hate that we had to do that. Like, he is, like, not necessarily agreeing, but he understands why the Alchemy Academy feels like they have to do this, and he hates it. Again, this whole show, it's empathy, it's building those connections, it's that togetherness. As they're walking by, the sister, the girl that Kajuki was falling in love with, walks by them, and for a moment they briefly walk aside, barely even acknowledging each other, as Hotaro goes like, yeah, fuck. Memory wiping's a bitch, and they never got their moment. But she turns around and goes like, hey, isn't that magazine? Just like she did in the previous episode, as they're able to reconnect. Saying that emotional bonds, that empathy is powerful. And this episode is just really all about how, like, you see and treat others people's emotions. And, like, they are saying hearts, which I think is going to be a lot easier to explain to kids, of, like, Hotaro can see into their hearts. He sees into the hearts of Kimmy and knows, like, hey, this wrestler Kimmy wants to help this dude. This Kimmy wants to help this kid. Like, he sees that, but he also sees into people. He goes like, no, she is hurt. She is emotionally hurt by her brother, and she needs someone like Kajuki, who had an emotional connection to her, to help pull her out of it, right? You know? And, like, it's interesting just, like, how they're framing all of that. And then you have someone like Rine, who has trouble connecting to people, whether that's growing up in the Alchemy Academy which is probably what they're more going of like, oh, she's from another world, another kind of thing. Or if we go with the, I wouldn't say headcanon, but like the kind of like undercurrent canon we have here of like, yeah, she's neurodivergent, she's autistic. And she has a hard time connecting to people, but when she does connect, it's not she has a hard time connecting, period. It's she has to connect in her own way, and she is connecting to people in her own way, and she's connecting, you know? And the brother had a lack of empathy for the sister, and that caused the big second half problem by him just stomping all over everything and just going like, haha, fuck you. She desponded and just lashed out, and Kajiki's empathy saved the day. He was able to push through that lashing out and say like, hey, you care about this isn't who you are, and was able to help break that moment and give Gotchard a chance to save the day, right? And through all of that, the brother did learn a modicum of empathy of just going like, wow, I really hurt my sister. Let me try and not necessarily like fix everything, because he can't, but like say like, hey, it's not all like I was a dickhead, you know? I was a dickhead. Don't let that affect you. And it's just like, again, going over about like how heartbreaking it is to remove these empathetic bonds. Like, you feel sad for Wrestler G not being able to hang out with the wrestler friend. You feel bad for the kid having to lose out on his cactus friend. You feel bad for this woman and Kajiki not being able to connect, not being able to be friends or together, however you want to see that. And yeah, it's just really laying it on thick of just like the show is about empathy, of how we talk to and connect to other people, right? And there's just another little thing I've noticed. The opening. Like, you watch the opening a couple times, it's like, yeah. But now with, like, this empathetic mindset going into the opening, it's interesting because all the characters are looking through the dark, using the Kemi as cards, searching for cards, right? Kemi cards as lights. Searching for cards, but also searching through the darkness of emotion for each other. And I think that's interesting. I think that is what his whole thing is Kimmy's are linking people together and giving people a chance to empathize with each other. And some people want to use that for evil, of manipulation and the negative emotions people feel. And Gotchard and that crew want to use it for good, and help people grow and help people be the people that they can be through these empathetic connections. This was a really good episode. It's just, we're now like, I wouldn't say it took this long for Gotchard to get good, but we are now in like, oh, Gotchard knows exactly what it's doing, right? It's nailing the crew, because like they never felt superfluous, but they always felt like they always felt like they were doing something and they were helping out. All this kind of stuff. They also bounced off each other really, really well, and amplify the theme that's going on. Like, we can understand the whole empathetic angle just through Gotchard, but with everyone else going like, oh, hey, what's going on? It's empathy? Oh, being able to discuss, like, basically being a theorizing group within the show, I think helps it for kids, you know? And empathy is really getting explored, diving into all these nuances, and the action has been really damn consistent. It hasn't been amazing, but it's been a solid 8 out of 10 pretty much the whole way through, and that's great. The designs have also been pretty top-notch. Yeah, the Amalgams don't have pants, but they have been nailing the ideas for the Amalgams on the top, and that's fucking great. Overall, this episode was fantastic, and Gotchard has been a really good run so far. I'm genuinely enjoying it. And if you would like to enjoy me on any other platform, you can! I'm on Twitch. Twitch.tv/BoingoWriter. Link is in the description. You can also follow me on a variety of social media platforms. Links to all those in the description: Mastodon, Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all those kind of places. And if you want to help me out here on YouTube, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel so you can see this and many videos coming up soon. And if you want some exclusive videos, such as my weekly Ultraman Blazar review, you can go support me for as little as $1 a month on Patreon. You get exclusive video every single week, as well as bonus material and things of that nature. Like video essays a little bit early. You get to watch them before they're out to the public. All that kind of stuff. But, last but not least, we have some comments to go through. And real quick, I just want to mention, last week we did the Legends special. We're not going to do the Legends comments this week. We're going to do that in the part 2 of the Legends special. Just want to put that out there. That's what we're doing. But first up, from Squirrelio, I want a Tyson movie now, just so Gotchard can fight a Sentai mech or a Kamen Rider J in the new farm. That would be such a huge missed opportunity if that never happens. That is such a home run of an idea that I'm a little scared that they're not gonna nail it, you know? That is not gonna happen. But it's such a good idea. It should happen. And like, is there going to be a crossover movie with Gotchard and King Oger anytime soon? Maybe it's the next Sentai. I don't know. But like, get that giant CG Gotchard fighting the giant King Oger, that could work. They're both CG. It could work. I'm just saying. Next up, from Slime Beast. This episode made me think about what Gotchard does. It's different from what Valvrad and then also the Abyssal sisters here does, specifically in that only Gotchard seems capable of perfect synthesis. Also, I think they're mind-wiping Valvrad. I feel like that's a very good explanation of why he can't seem to remember anything. The Secret Society, who says that these obviously sentient creatures are just tools, would totally just mind-wipe a dude to keep them fighting for them, right? Like, kind of like Winter Soldier from Marvel Comics, you know, just a tool of a man. And realistically, that's probably why everybody was gunning for the belt in episode 1, of just like, we can't achieve perfect synthesis, so we need the belt. But I don't think the belt would do it perfectly for them either. I think it is Hotaro being empathetic to these creatures, being empathetic to the chemis, that's able for him to synthesize as perfectly as he does, you know? It is him understanding these creatures as wanting to help and going like, oh, you want to help, I'll help, and they're able to work together. Anyone else using the chemis seems to use them as tools and bends them to their will. Hotaro seems to be the only one who uses them empathetically. And I think, again, the show is going on and on about empathy, and that's just one way it's doing it, you know? But if we're also talking about alchemy, Hotaro is definitely going to become like a perfect being at the end of the season. Like, that's the final form. It's going to be gold. It's going to be perfect. He's going to be the perfect man. And I bet you dollars to donuts that the transformation version of that, like, part of the transformation, he will become the Vitruvian Man. Because that's all about, like, perfect proportion and that kind of stuff. I don't know. Idea, it's a thought, throwing it out there, spaghetti on the wall. Next up, from the Vacuuminator. 9 times out of 10, Bandai shows the writer their entire outline for the show, for the whole year's worth of toys ahead of time, and they are told to write a story to go with them these days. I don't know when exactly it got that way, because I can't imagine it was for early Heisei with how some of those shows came together, but it's been that way since at least Gaiam. There's even a famous Urobuchi interview out there where he said he wanted the whole show to be themed around bird aesthetics, and Bandai was like, lol, no, we're doing fruit. Yeah, that makes complete sense production-wise, and now I'm thinking, like, when would that have started? And part of my gut just goes like, it probably happened post-Kiva. Because, like, that's a thing of like, okay, we got all these ideas, we did all these things, Then there's this one toy that only gets used once. I mean, the same thing happened with Ghost, but I feel like that's the difference in direction. Maybe the first idea was, it's definitely when they started doing more gimmick toys, you know, double O's, Forza, that kind of thing. But yeah, that makes complete sense. Next up, from Fish Pop, Hopper 1 is still adorable, and despite being referred to as he, my headcanon says she because of the voice. From what I said last time, there is 10 Ride Chemi card sets. Insect orange, Job blue, Vehicle purple, Animal red, Artifact gray, Plant green, Occult pink, Ancient yellow, Cosmic and Fantastic meaning the colors aren't revealed yet. Thank you, Writer Ricky, but they don't have Cosmic and Fantastic images, so colors unknown at the moment. Rinkengobo is obviously a generic super robot, but of course I can't help but think of Gundam. Yeah, Ancient, Cosmic, Fantastic all sound like big upgrade stuff, especially considering we're getting UFO next week. That Cosmic UFO, all that kind of stuff. And that robot fight was just pure simple joy, all that kind of stuff. He feels very much like a Transformer, and of course we had a conversation of he kind of looks a little bit like Victory Saber. He kind of has that flavor and feel. And it's yeah, but he also has the wings of Deathsaurus. And it's oh yeah, it is Deathsaurus wings. It just feels like a big love letter to Transformers. Of course, the big square on his chest could be a reference to Deathsaurus, but it could also just be oh yeah, Soundwave, big bleh, that kind of thing. Overall, it's just a big fun love letter to super robot stuff. And finally, from Esconde, I love how Spanner's response to latch this using 2 chemis is, oh yeah, F you, I can use 3. That's so very much him. I hadn't considered the implications of Valvarad being based on the amalgam method. I really hope that ends up being the case with what it could imply lore-wise. If Hotaro is Kamen Rider Brat, to one of them it looks like Spanner is Rabid Dog. It was fun that we see Hotaro trying to be serious. Really funny Rene calls him out on this, and Rene had it being fun for once. Hoping we can see more moments like this, her laughing at the guys freaking out at the haunted house, and being really into this Shinsegumi, if I got that right. Maybe, I don't know. If you didn't get it right, I didn't get it right, but if you got it right, I may also not got it right. Stuff with the costumes and photography. Where's the Kamen Rider Brat, Clotho, Ponytail, Abyss Sister? Currently on a school trip, so as his teacher, safety is my main concern, Professor Minato. I really hope we get more Professor Minato's pathetic Tumblr man side, enough to keep things balanced with the serious alchemy instructor side. Really dug how he walked to the duo looking relaxed before his expression goes serious when telling them about the situation. Also looks like maybe he's the one who's the last sister will have a rivalry with going off this episode. Would be nice clash between the one who fights the most versus the mentor of the Kamen Rider. The use of chemis is just again, it's interesting to see because again, Laxus and Spanner use it in a very similar way. And it's just one chemi being used as armor, right? It's being affecting them. Meanwhile, Hotaro is again working with the chemis empathetically and becoming something bigger and better than the sum of their parts. And with the sisters being able to use chemis as base armor, and then we have an additional weapon, makes me think it's there's some kind of conspiracy. I think it's fitting that the whole thing, maybe the sisters were the first team to try and do alchemy with the chemis, and this is what they came up with, and something happened, and the Academy was no, get out of here, and now they want revenge. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe that's why it's all about all the destroy the world and that kind of stuff. And Valvarad is a refinement of that method. And the guy who made Gotchard's belt was no, we got to do it completely different. We got to be empathetic. We got to aim that way, right? And I think it's interesting that they call them brat and dog. 2 things cats don't like, especially with the sisters having cat motif. Yeah. And like with the whole series thing, that's again part of why I'm starting to see the two main characters as like ADHD and autistic, right? Because with ADHD, you make these leaps in logic because it all makes sense to you, and Hotaro's mindset kind of makes sense in that lens. And Rene being very flat and very kind of like, okay, yeah, sure. It's vibing for me. It's working for me. And yeah, the calm teacher going up against the headstrong sister, that totally makes sense. And hey, we did get some more pathetic Tumblr man this episode when he's going like, yeah, so arson? Hotaro fights all of them, and they each get a general, because there's probably going to be a big major bad that Gotchard's going to have to fight later on somewhere down the line. But that is it for this video of Gather Up, Get Charred. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy any of these videos, and I hope that you leave a comment down below and we can talk about it next week. But please like, please comment, please subscribe, and I shall see you later. Thank you all my Patreon supporters, but a big thank you to Scoutfire Scene, one of the baddest dudes.